We're tracking new footage tonight of this image here. We are seeing something you don't usually see, the convicted Epstein associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, in another way that we have seen the law working late, delayed, slowly, as I've told you in our special reports, and yet ultimately working. Now, what we're seeing is Epstein being discussed from a 2016 deposition.
As far as I'm aware, a professional masseuse showed up for a massage. There is nothing inappropriate or incorrect about that. And your mischaracterization of it, I think, is unfortunate.
How many teenagers did he have that were professional masseuses that worked in his home?
Check the Foreman Foundation.
How many?
First of all, I'm not aware of teenagers who worked in his home.
At that time, she was defending him. The DOJ had this material, and we have reported on how the new files show not only how Epstein built his web, but how often he was able to corrupt elite power centers, sometimes in both parties, to evade the long arm of the law. Drawing on the new files and new evidence we've only just gotten in the last few days, let's look deeper at the timeline. In 2007, prosecutors internally said they had the goods, that they had enough material, evidence, testimony on Epstein for an actual sex trafficking case of not one or two, but actually a dozen teenage girls. And they wrote, and this is new that we've learned this, a 56-page draft indictment. So back then, some inside government were ready to charge Epstein for that whole terrible alleged conspiracy. But here's what I want to show you tonight, and this is newly revealed. That was the draft indictment, but it was discarded. The Bush DOJ never allowed it to be filed, and that was the big case. Instead, the top prosecutor, later a notorious name, Trump official Alex Acosta, at the time, he let Epstein off the hook with that controversial secret deal. And that meant just 1 year in prison for the lesser count of soliciting prostitution. Acosta and others have argued that this was basically the case they had, that these things are complicated. Well, it's taken all this time, but I can report for you tonight that now the new Epstein files release from Friday shows that's false, that there was a whole written draft indictment of the bigger case, and they just discarded it. So, what happened? Some prosecutors had that case written up, ready to go. We've now seen it, but their bosses, this later Trump ally Acosta, or perhaps bosses in Washington, discarded it. The DOJ, since then, I should mention, has only indicted one person related to what's been documented as this sprawling conspiracy. And so I'm going to get into this because we are learning new things. For the first time, the new Friday files show the DOJ was eyeing other suspects. It's a mob-style chart. And the feds made this of Epstein's inner circle. So let's take a look at this right now as part of our special report. I just can tell you, this is a rare view inside a normally secret federal probe. You almost never see this type of thing before, during, or after a case, and the federal laws protect that. What's different here, of course, is Congress changed the laws for this particular mess of Epstein and the secrecy. So we have questions stoked here about why the feds, under first Trump and then the Biden DOJ, did not apparently pursue and indict most of these men, or the others who knew or partook in what the government also calls a broad sex trafficking ring. Which is it? A giant sex trafficking ring with someone at the center and other men involved in crimes, knowing and otherwise? Or not? And if it's not, then what were the feds doing with their chart and their leads? What are the feds doing? Who has gotten off the hook? And how is this pressure building in ways that have completely come out of control of elite institutions? We've seen people ousted, sidelined, even fired just in the last week. We're joined by Gretchen Carlson, a veteran journalist, advocate, and expert on these issues, co-founder of Lift Our Voices. Welcome back.
Hey, great to see you, Ari.
Great to have you. I showed some of the reporting we've done, and to let audiences in on how it works, if you get 30 documents, you go through them. You get 100 documents, you might lean more on a print outlet's coverage and you go through them. when you get 3 million documents, everything then becomes this deluge. And I'll put our timeline back up. This was new reporting we've done, but also leaning on the documents and other materials where I showed before the break that draft sex trafficking indictment is newly detailed, although there were reports about how much they backed off then. These new emails from Trump officials like Lutnick and Musk are revealed as of Friday, and we go on through that timeline. I wonder what you think about this overdue reckoning as people learn what's really in the files.
Yeah, I think two things. I think that this was pre-Me Too. And so I think that it was easy to pass this off, much more so than it would be post Me Too to be able to get away with that. So that's my first thought. My second thought is that this is affecting both sides of the aisle. And so there was a reason to try to quash it no matter who was the president at the particular time.
It's such an important point you raise that while we don't need to only sift it politically, we are in a two-party system where the DOJ and these powerful forces are usually under one of the parties. And to your point, Epstein cultivated both parties. He had a top Obama-Biden era lawyer, Kathy Rumler, which we reported on. He had outreach to others. Alan Dershowitz is a complex figure, but he did spend many decades sort of on the center left of law, of course, later representing Trump. And so, again, to your point, when you look back at what he was doing 20 years ago, it was cultivating those figures as well as Ken Starr, Alex Acosta, and these others. As someone who's been at the intersection of law and journalism, does it bum you out? Is it depressing that it worked for so long? And what does that teach us about fixing it now?
It teaches us that power rules and sex rules. I mean, unfortunately, when I read through these documents now as well, it's completely disheartening to know that sex has always ruled, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what political party you're in. When somebody wants to treat you poorly, they don't ask you, are you a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat? I mean, we're finding that out when we look at this. And I think that, honestly, the Me Too movement has changed all of this, because this would never have happened post 2016. He would not have gotten that sweetheart deal back in 2008. And no administration, well, I shouldn't say that, maybe some administrations, but for the most part, most administrations would not allow this to be covered up. I think one of the most important things, though, that we should be talking about tonight is that members of this House committee are going to get a chance to go in and see these unredacted files next week. And so much of the criticism since they started releasing this on a Friday a week ago was that they redacted a lot of names of these powerful potential men. Well, now you're going to have members of Congress who are going to be able to go in there and they're going to be able to see this. And they're going to be able to come out and say what they saw. And they're also going to be having potentially public hearings. So I don't think this story is over, Ari. I think that they tried to come out a week ago and say that, okay, we've released everything and that's it. And nobody ask any more questions. Yeah. You know what?
Well, do you think as part of the oversight, Congress and the Democrats could do it themselves, should hold more hearings? I mean, they could do the January 6th model. You can hold primetime hearings. You go through this. People sometimes forget that effective hearings, effective congressional oversight usually is built on a bunch of research. This was a research bonanza. It took years. It was overdue. But now there's more material than you normally have for any hearing.
Yeah, well, the people that you show in your timeline, Congress has said that they're going to subpoena them for these hearings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one of the men committed suicide in a prison in France, but the other people who are there, they are going to subpoena them. Bill Clinton tonight, former president, has said, let's do this public hearing. Let's do it on camera. And so, I think that this, as much as we try to say that a week ago, or at least the Trump administration has tried to say that a week ago, this was a document dump on a Friday afternoon and, let's be done with this, and that he attacks female reporters who continue to ask him about this, legitimate questions about this. I think this story is far from over, Ari, because if they have these public hearings, these members of Congress will have seen these unredacted files. And they're going to tell, I think they're going to tell the American public the truth.